Hello, greetings from Germany, from the Allgäu. This is Ayya Phalanyani speaking again, and I also wish good afternoon, a good evening, wherever you are. Be well and safe. I think we should, before starting the talk really, wait again some minutes. As it turns out, people seem not to be totally on time. And so far, Buddharuchi, happy to see you again. And oh, Jita is there. I thought you wouldn't come. I'm happy to see you. Maybe you can still work from home. I don't know. Anyways, I'm very happy to have you all. And let's just hang in for a moment. I hope internet is strong enough today. That's great to hear. So, please let me know when internet is breaking off. We do have good weather, so there is not really a reason why internet is bad today, but it was bad the last few days. So please write a little note if I have to react and do something about the internet. Today's topic, you might have read it in the announcement. Today's topic are the six senses, the six sense bases, or the six sense spheres, which is difficult to pronounce for German when you say it in English. Starting next month, I will work from. Yes, I think sooner or later we all have to adjust to a new lifestyle or an old lifestyle, maybe. Maybe sooner or later, here in Germany at least, those restrictions due to COVID will be mainly lifted. All of them, not all of them, of course, but most of them will be lifted. So people have to go to work again, and Jita, I'm happy to share the Dhamma with you all. And if that's a deep Dhamma or a profound Dhamma, I'm more than happy. I don't know, there was a person requesting the 5 precepts that would have been last week already. And I can't remember the name of that person, but I think that person is still not here. So if that person comes on, we will do it as requested. But for now, we just proceed to our. Oh, that was you. Oh, you have been there last week. So was that still something that you wish to do? Are you familiar with it? Oh, dear. So, I have opened, maybe we can share the screen here, taking here. So let me see if we can get that. Share screen. Hmm. Chanting, yes. Right. Okay. I think I get it. Do you see the text now? You should. Okay. So when we do it in Zoom, usually I'm used to Zoom and Zoom meetings. So it's far easier because I can see you then, and I can also intercommunicate with the people much better than here in StreamYard. Um, so you see the screen, but I don't hear you making the request. And I wouldn't know that you have. Okay, Sud, I have another idea because I'm technically not versed enough to share it with you and to see what you are doing. Why don't we meet apart from this meeting, and you can take the precepts? Why don't we do that? um, After the talk, you just hang on and maybe then we can do it. Okay, I will stop sharing the screen and we will just proceed to, and maybe next time we do better. Okay, so back to the salāyana, the six sense bases. I think sharing a stream and having another web page open might be too much for the internet. So now there is in the Samyutta Nikaya an entire chapter on the six sense bases, the salāyana vagga. And there are plenty suttas about the topic. And I tried to to cut it short a bit and to tell you in brief what it's about. So we have senses, right? We have those five senses that we share in common, the west and the east. And then there is one that we don't actually acknowledge here in the West, but is part of the system in the East. I think I may go down. Okay. I went to our meditation hall and hope I'm not sitting in front of the Buddha too much. Down here, we have changed settings in the monastery of internet. I think here it should be much better. So back to the Salayatanas and the Samyutta Nikaya. So there is, as I said, an entire chapter on the six sense bases. We try to briefly understand what it's all about. So the Buddha in the Salayatana Samyutta calls the world or calls the all what we find through our six senses. So we have the eye, we have the ear, the nose, the tongue, and the body with its tactile functions. And then we have the mind. And these are our sense doors. When we refer back to the khandhas, the five khandhas, of which we have been talking last week, then all these things are part of the first of the five khandhas, the bodily khandha. These are our sense doors that are doors through which, by which we do perceive the world. We do perceive all and everything. What is that, what we do perceive? What do we know? Through the eyes, we see forms, we hear sounds, we smell odors, we taste tastes, we feel touches, touching tactile contacts, and we know things, we cognize. Then there are external objects that we can sense, that we can experience, see, hear, smell, taste, feel, and know through external sources. And there need to be the turning towards. That is a very, very important part of the whole process. So when we look at Samyutta Nikaya 35:25, there the Buddha is teaching the Dhamma for abandoning all. So, and what, bhikkhus, is the Dhamma for abandoning all through direct knowledge and full understanding? The I is to be abandoned through direct knowledge and full understanding. Forms are to be abandoned. I consciousness is to be abandoned. Eye contact is to be abandoned. And whatever feeling arises with eye contact as conditioned, whether pleasant or painful, neither painful nor pleasant, that too is to be abandoned. And so are the ear sounds, hearing consciousness, ear contact, and whatever feeling is arising thereof. All these are to be abandoned through direct knowledge and full understanding. The nose odors, smelling consciousness, nose contact, and whatever feeling arises thereof. The tongue, taste, tasting consciousness, tongue contact, and whatever feeling arises thereof. The body, tactile objects, tactile consciousness, bodily contact, and whatever feeling arises thereof. The mind is to be abandoned through direct knowledge and full understanding. Mental phenomena are to be abandoned. Mind consciousness is to be abandoned. Mind contact is to be abandoned, and whatever feeling arises with mind contact as a condition, whether pleasant or painful, or neither painful nor pleasant. That too is to be abandoned through direct knowledge and full understanding. This, bhikkhus, is the Dhamma for abandoning all through direct knowledge and full understanding. So, this is what the Buddha said. And this refers really to all phenomena that we can perceive, whether they are internal or external, past, present, or future, gross or subtle, truthful or sublime, near or far. So really, everything that you can ever imagine that we can perceive. I think internet is again off. Everything that we can perceive is perceived through one of those sense doors. And the mind I can't do anything about it. I have full coverage. That is something. Okay, then I just continue and don't bother. So the mind here is the connecting point between those senses that are in contact with the external world, and the mind takes it in. The mind later knows it. That is what here in this sutta, Samyutta Nikaya 35 is the Nikaya, the Vagga, and 25 is the number of the sutta. That is what here is called the mind or mind consciousness. The mind consciousness is that which knows and understands and really understands what is going on. What am I perceiving? What am I thinking? What is going on here? So there is our connection. That is the link between all those sense doors. There it comes all together, and there we make up things. So the problem are not that we have senses, really not. The problem is also not that there are sense objects all around, and the problem is also not that we perceive things. The problem is that we are perceiving these things through our defiled minds, with our defilements as a magnifying glass of things, or a filter through which we perceive these things. If we would perceive things as they really are with wisdom, then there would be no problems. So, what do? We have to observe, of course, those sense doors. That is one of the first things that before we start to practice, we have to do. We need to guard our sense doors. That we have spoken about that a lot of times already. So we really got to do it, to guard the sense doors and not let our mind or our senses get caught up in what we are perceiving. So I have brought, and now we really come to what I wanted to share with you today. The simile of the 6 animals. This is such a wonderful, brilliant sutta. It is also in the Samyutta Nikaya 35, number 248. The simile of the 6 animals. Bhikkhus, suppose a man with limbs wounded and festering would enter a wood of thorny reeds, and the kusa thorns would prick his feet, and the reed blades would slash his limbs. Thus, that man would thereby experience even more pain and displeasure. So too, bhikkhus, some bhikkhu here, gone to the village or the forest, meet someone who reproaches him thus. This venerable one, acting in such a way, behaving in such a way, is a foul village thorn. Having understood him thus as a thorn, one should understand restrained and non-restrained. And how, bhikkhus, is there non-restrained? Here, having seen a form with the eye, a bhikkhu is intent upon a pleasing form and repelled by a displeasing form. He dwells without having set up mindfulness of the body with a limited mind, and he does not understand as it really is the liberation of mind, liberation by wisdom, wherein those evil, unwholesome states cease without remainder. Having heard a sound with the ear, a bhikkhu is intent upon pleasing sounds and repelled by displeasing sound. He dwells without having set up mindfulness of the body, with a limited mind, and he does not understand as it really is that liberation of mind, liberation by wisdom, wherein those evil, unwholesome states cease without remainder. Having smelt an odor with the nose, a bhikkhu is intent upon a pleasing odor and repelled by displeasing odor. He dwells without having set up mindfulness of the body, with a limited mind, and he does not understand as it really is that liberation of mind, liberation by wisdom, wherein those evil, unwholesome states cease without remainder. Having tasted a taste with a tongue, a bhikkhu is intent upon pleasing taste and repelled by displeasing taste. He dwells without having set up mindfulness of the body, with a limited mind, and he does not understand as it really is that liberation of mind, liberation by wisdom, wherein those evil, unwholesome thoughts and states cease without remainder. Having felt a touch or a tactile object with the body, a bhikkhu is intent upon pleasing tactile objects and repelled by displeasing tactile objects. He dwells without having set up mindfulness of the body. Having cognized a mental phenomenon with the mind, he is intent upon a pleasing mental phenomenon and repelled by a displeasing mental phenomenon. He dwells without having set up mindfulness of the body. With a limited mind, and he does not understand as it really is that liberation of mind. Liberation by wisdom, wherein those evil, unwholesome states cease without remainder. Suppose, bhikkhus, a man would catch 6 animals with different domains and different feeding grounds, and tie them by a strong rope. He would catch a snake, a crocodile, a bird, a dog, a jackal, and a monkey, and tie each by a strong rope. Having done so, he would tie the ropes together and with a knot in the middle and release them. Then those 6 animals with different domains and different feeding grounds would each pull in the direction of its feeding ground and domain. The snake would pull one way, thinking, "Let me enter an anthill." The crocodile would pull another way, thinking, "Let me enter the water." The bird would pull another way, thinking, "Let me fly up into the sky." The dog would pull another way, thinking, "Let me enter the village." The jackal would pull another way, thinking, "Let me enter a charnel ground." And the monkey would pull another way, thinking, "Let me enter the forest." Now, when these 6 animals become worn out and fatigued, they would be dominated by the one among them that was the strongest. They would submit to it and come under its control. So too, bhikkhus, when a bhikkhu has not developed and cultivated mindfulness directed to the body, the eye pulls in the direction of agreeable forms, and disagreeable forms are repulsive. The ear pulls in the direction of agreeable sounds, and disagreeable sounds are repulsive. The nose pulls in the direction of agreeable odors, and disagreeable odors are repulsive. The tongue pulls in the direction of agreeable tastes, and disagreeable tastes are repulsive. The body pulls in the direction of agreeable tactile objects, and disagreeable tactile objects are repulsive. The mind pulls in the direction of agreeable mental phenomena, and disagreeable mental phenomena are repulsive. It is in such a way that there is non-restraint. And how, bhikkhus, is there restraint? Here, having seen a form with the eye, a bhikkhu is not intent upon a pleasing form and not repelled by a displeasing form. He dwells, having set up mindfulness of the body with a measureless mind, and he understands as it really is that liberation of mind, liberation by wisdom, wherein those evil, unwholesome states ceases without remainder. having heard a sound with the ear, having smelled an odor with the nose, having tasted a taste with the tongue, having felt a tactile object with the body, having cognized a mental phenomenon with the mind. He is not intent upon anything pleasing in connection with that, nor is one repelled by displeasing objects. One dwells, having set up mindfulness of the body with a measureless mind, and one understands as it really is that liberation of mind. Liberations by wisdom, wherein those evil, unwholesome states cease without remainder. It is in such a way that there is restraint. Suppose, bhikkhus, a man would catch 6 animals with different domains and different feeding grounds and tie them by a strong rope. He would catch a snake, a crocodile, a bird, a dog, a jackal, and a monkey, and tie each by a strong rope. Having done so, he would bind them to a strong post or pillar. Then those 6 animals with different domains and different feeding grounds would each pull in the direction of its own feeding ground and domain. The snake would pull one way, thinking, let me enter an anthill. The crocodile would pull another way, thinking, let me enter the water. The bird would pull another way, thinking, let me fly into the sky. The dog would pull another way, thinking, let me into the village. The jackal would pull another way, thinking, let me into the charnel ground. The monkey would pull another way, thinking, let me enter the forest. Now, when these 6 animals become worn out and fatigued, they would stand close to that post or pillar. They would sit down there and they would lie down there. So too, bhikkhus, when a bhikkhu has developed and cultivated mindfulness directed to the body, the eye does not pull in the direction of agreeable forms, nor are disagreeable forms repulsive. The ear does not pull in the direction of agreeable sounds, nor are disagreeable sounds repulsive. The nose does not pull in the direction of agreeable odors, nor are disagreeable odors repulsive. The tongue does not pull in the direction of agreeable tastes, nor are disagreeable tastes repulsive. The body does not pull in the direction of agreeable tactile objects, nor are disagreeable tactile objects repulsive. The mind does not pull into the direction of agreeable mental phenomena, nor are disagreeable mental phenomena repulsive. It is in such a way that there is restraint. A strong post or pillar, this, bhikkhus, is the designation for mindfulness directed to the body. Therefore, bhikkhus, you should train yourselves thus. We will develop and cultivate mindfulness directed to the body. Make it our vehicle, make it our basis, stabilize it, exercise ourselves in it, and fully perfect it. Thus, should you train yourselves. So, I think some of you were still here, some may not. However that is, Let's go back to the beginning of that sutta. A thorn is somebody. A thorn here. Jita has a question, and I'm coming right to this because it is important. Ayya, is this teaching of guarding our six sense faculties with mindfulness, awareness, and noble wisdom? Yes. Sure, this is. There is so much. The Buddha always says we need to guard our sense doors, and this is how we can do it. This is one of the greatest teachings of how we can guard our sense doors by the example of the six senses, sense bases. We need to understand, I think I said it already, but I repeat it. These sense doors are only physical things, these ears, these eyes. And so these are just body, the first khandha of kaya. Since I have a mind and can perceive things, so I have active for more khandhas, and not only the one khandha of the body. They are working together, and what I perceive through those sense doors comes to my awareness. But the six sense doors in itself are merely physical. Then we have the hearing consciousness, the seeing consciousness. I already mentioned it in the beginning. We have those consciousnesses. This is not proper English, but that would be proper to say it, proper to put it. Each of them is a consciousness that is related to the sense organ, to the physical part of the body. And when it, so to say, knocks on the sense door, the sense object, there needs to be a sense object, of course. When there is one, it kind of knocks at our sense doors. I can explain it very easily. Here in Bavaria, spring started. It's still quite cold, but the snow is melted away, and the meadows here are being now. I don't know the word for it in English, but they put the cow dung on it, and this is a very strong odor. So this odor of cow dung is everywhere and all around, and it knocks at the at the sense door. The nose itself is just the physical object. The nose itself, if there were just the nose, I wouldn't know. But since there is not only the physical nose, but also the part of the smelling consciousness, that makes, when I open the sense doors, or when I open the sense door to the smelling, this odor or this dreadful, repelling smell would come in and would disturb me, would bother me. So if one is not guarding the sense doors, if one is not trained in the meditation, then this comes really strong and you feel aversion towards it. But when you sit in meditation and, for example, have body as your mindfulness object, as your main object, the breathing, body, rising, falling, for example, or however else you do the awareness of the breath, then you have a physical meditation object. And when you are really focused on that one, then you would rather not know that there is that smell. It wouldn't be able to come in. Or when there is a sound, a strong sound, of course, you hear it. But sometimes in meditation, when you're with your meditation object, say the breath, because the Buddha is mentioning here Ajita. So if you are with the awareness on the body, observing the body as a body, or the nose as the nose, or rising, falling, all this would be observing the body, then you are with your object. And when you are strongly with your mind meditation object, then it can happen that you don't hear any sounds anymore. In the beginning, you would name hearing, hearing, hearing. But then at some point, your mind just wouldn't turn towards it anymore. It would just be hearing, 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 and then whatever sound would come, you wouldn't even notice, because you are with your meditation object. So when we let our mindfulness and our concentration slip away, all of our senses will react to things. We will always grasp the signs. And signs in that sense also mean sounds and smells. We will grasp everything that comes knocking at our sense doors. And if I'm not restrained, I will, of course, notice this smell of the cow dung. And we will notice the sound of the street, or we will notice our tinnituses, or whatever there is that would bother us. But when we have something like that post, like that strong pillar, that the Buddha says our practice of meditation on the body would be mindfulness on the body. Here it says clearly, mindfulness on the body is that pillar, And when we are sticking with that, when we pull firmly this pillar into the ground, that it becomes unshakable, then we can bind any animal that is pulling here and there, and it just gets tired and falls asleep and lays down, lays to rest, and wouldn't want to fight with other animals anymore. But when we are not having that pillar, that strong, concentrated awareness, then this bound together conglomerate of animals pull here and there, and the strongest wins. We all have different senses which are stronger. Some are more attracted by sights, others by sounds. And attracted in this case means repelled as well as attracted. So reacting to it with a liking or a disliking. In both ways, we grasp it and we do something with it. And that is terribly burdensome and tiring, and does not lead us anywhere. So with that mindfulness of the body, which when we remember the Satipatthana Sutta, the mindfulness of breathing is the first thing. Then when we take this as our pillar, then we can also notice, okay, there is that very, very strong pull from the crocodile or from the jackal. Or there is that very strong urge to go for the sound, to go for the form, or to go for the taste. But with that pillar that is firmly and solid, planted into the ground, as mindfulness of the body, we will have no more problems being pulled away. So take this example of the 6 animals pulling here and there as your sense doors. These are example of our sense doors. And this pulling here and there, pulling in their direction and towards their feeding ground, is our aversion or wanting. And letting go of that, having that calm down, knowing this can calm down and be very still, be very silent. That can be like a holiday, like the best thing that ever happened maybe to you. So I would say this work on the sense doors is all worth it, because we have been talking so much about the sense pleasures. Pleasures are coming because we have those sense doors wide open, or we have to stick with our example here. We have not put our pole planted firmly. We have those animals pulled together on a string, pulling here and there. And the strongest being a harassment for the weaker ones. So then, knowing that the sense desires are coming in to us, or we are letting them in through our sense doors, should be reason enough for us to really practice, as the Buddha said, the mindfulness on the body, and firmly and solid grounded with concentration, so that when one of the senses, one of those animals wakes up and roars up or flies up or runs into one direction, it can come just thus far and knows, no, I need to lay down. There is no way going to my feeding ground. I won't just let it go to the feeding ground or to its domain. They will be domesticated, those animals. Of course, as long as there are animals, sense doors, there is the possibility that they awake and that they want to run in that direction. But if you have this mindfulness of the body well trained, then you can use that whenever you become aware of that there is there is a question. You become aware that there is such a disturbance or a waking up of an animal. So is mindfulness on the body same as 32 parts of the body contemplation? That is one thing. When we look at the Satipatthana Sutta, that is one of the things the Buddha mentions. The first thing as being mindful on the body is the breath. The next thing that we can be aware of is the bending, stretching, turning around, the standing, walking, sitting, laying down, then our bodily actions when we eat, swallow, urinate, defecate, and all these things that are mentioned. Then the 32 body parts also the Asubha practice is actually mentioned as a bodily or as mindfulness on the body. I think Bhante Sudaso has given a very long and extensive explanation of the Satipatthana Sutta, or you can read it, Majjhima Nikaya number 10. There you find all things mentioned that are part of the mindfulness on the body. And you also find there that mindfulness on the body is always highly, highly focused. I don't want to say concentrated, because for us Westerners, the word concentration might be a little bit too remind of us of our time at school and bring back unwholesome memories. But we need to be strongly focused on those things. And the first thing really is anapanasati, the mindfulness on the breath. So, and this is here in this sutta that we have read today, is the Buddha's recommendation. Be mindful on the body. And if you read all the suttas, and if you check mindfulness on the body or meditation on the breath is mentioned so much. Of course, there's also Chittanupassana, Vedananupassana, and Dhammanupassana. These are also mentioned, of course, but Kayanupassana, or mindfulness on the body, is mentioned the most. This is really one of the first things, and I think also the foremost things that we can practice, the mindfulness on the breath on the body. Because if it's only the breath, the mindfulness of the body functions in regards to the breath, then it makes a strong concentration. But if we then allow our mind to also perceive things that are occurring to other sense doors, but always find back to kind of say our anchor of the meditation on the breath, then we have something stable, something that we can rely on, something that would make our practice accessible in every situation. You know, when you have practiced mindfulness on the breath and you are overwhelmed by smells or sights or sounds, then you can always try to use the meditation on breath and go to the breath, breathing in and breathing out mindfully and concentrated. When you are, in that situation of being overwhelmed by anything. So this really is something that you can use in your everyday practice, during work, at all times. And the good thing of this mindfulness of the body, when you do all the mindfulnesses of the body that the Buddha recommends in the Satipatthana Sutta, when you become aware of your bending, stretching, way round as I put it, the stretching and the bending, the turning, the standing, walking, sitting, laying down. When you are being aware any moment, you also have your sense doors guarded, because we are reacting mechanisms, let's put it that way. When we see something and we turn, it's a reaction, maybe to a sound, or to a sight, or to a touch. So we have physical reactions normally. When you are aware of the body and know that you are turning, then you know there has been something. So there's another question. How much time do you think one should spend on meditation every day? Well, as much as possible. When I was a lay person, for many, many years, I meditated at least half an hour. When I had good days with time, I meditated maybe twice half an hour. And when I have had even better days, I meditated like 40 minutes. Usually I did never, as a layperson, of course, never practice much longer than 40 minutes at once. But sometimes I did that several times a day. But according to time, sometimes it was just half an hour a day. And that is much better than nothing. Even 5 minutes of meditation is better than nothing, of course. When you have more time, practice more. Because every single second that you spend on your meditation cushion counts and helps you. Helps you to, for one, learn the restraint, learn to guard the senses. Because when you are overwhelmed, when you are in that situation of being overwhelmed, it's really, really difficult to, to sort all those animals or to sort all those senses. But in meditation, you have the time and you can learn to attend to one thing at a time. You will notice when you do a retreat with me or with anybody else who is doing the vipassana, you will notice that your mindfulness and awareness of what is going on at any of those sense doors is overwhelmingly much, plentiful. I don't know how to say it, but it's really overwhelming. It can become so overwhelming that you have, after some practice, you could burst because you can't even name the things as quickly as you experience them. And then something happens within your mind that your mind says, no, calm down. And that is when when this pillar of the mindfulness is getting really, really strong and well grounded. And then you can just name and acknowledge or know what is dominant. And then you let the other animals sleep. They don't need to be there, but it takes practice. So if you want to experience this, like having the sense doors really closed and having those sense doors I don't want to say under control, but manageable, so that you know how to calm them down, how to let them rest. I think, half an hour minimum, and every second more than that, the better. Any more questions? I hope I can cut somehow this video, because the beginning was so ruined. I don't know whether that's possible. So, Sud, can I invite you? Sud, we can just try to do something. I'm sending you a link. Okay. When you, Sud, could now click on that link, you might be able to enter this session and would be seen, maybe, together with me. And then we could do the 5 precepts. With you chanting them. And I could try again to share. Are you getting there? Maybe not. So I don't want to occupy the line any longer. We find a way. Sud, maybe next time I found something. And if nothing else, we'll record something. But we'll be able to do it. Thank you so much for your attention. Be peaceful, inside and out. Be well. Bye-bye.